Well, that was weird. Huh?
About time.
Yeah, that's new. So when you did the recording, there's an
Yeah.
actual voice that tells me recordings in progress.
Oh, yeah.
I never had that before in the older one, so upgrade. What's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in again to Real Talk. By Our Stories, Your Legacy. Where Our Stories, Your Legacy. In the spirit of Halloween, as this episode will premiere on Halloween Day, we discuss and possibly discuss a hypothetical question. It doesn't have to be hypothetical, but in our case, it's hypothetical. But the question we're going to answer is, what would it take for you to be locked up in a haunted house for the night? For many of us, the paranormal or supernatural have always been a part of our lives, or at least, within our peripheral. And some are very afraid of it, while some may totally embrace it, at least the good parts of it, we hope. But in this episode, we have a fun discussion about the hypothetical scenario we would find ourselves in regarding a haunted house challenge. And what would we need to have with us to be comfortable in that situation? And as always, before we begin, we're going to do a quick check, vibe check around the room, see who is on today's episode, whether you're watching or listening to us. Of course, you have me, and then we have my brother Tyler on the other side, on another city, but on the other side of the view for me. How's it going with you, man?
Good. It's good. It's Tuesday when we're recording this one. But happy Halloween to all the people that are listening today. Uh, Hopefully the weather is good, and if you're trick-or-treating, you stay dry. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but doing well, doing well. It's a pretty good Tuesday. I would say. Yeah, just got adjusted, so we're good, feeling good, and yeah, ready to jump into
Nice,
it.
nice. All right, let's get it. All right, Tyler. Since it's just us, I'm gonna open the question to you, and then I'll jump into with my take. But I'll start off with you. So, first question tonight: what would it take for you to be locked up in a haunted house for the night? For example, it could be anything. A lot of money, a group of friends, religious protection, a demon slayer, having the lights on while you're doing it, your favorite teddy bear with you, etc. There's no rules. Like, what would it take for you to feel comfortable? In other words, you know, if you had no choice but to accept this challenge and you're allowed anything or anybody to come with you, at what comfort level do you need to be able to withstand the night? And also, given, let's say this is like notorious haunted house, every evil thing in the world, every seance in the world, every cult and sacrifices have been going on in this house. And it's notoriously known. Let's say that is the most evil haunted house. So, what would it take for you to spend one night and locked up too? It's one of those instances where you
Right.
know the caretaker like locks it from the outside, so you can't bust out.
Yeah, no, man. I might just die at that point. No. Honestly, yeah. I'm trying to think, like, you had to throw all the evils in there, man. That's some
Right.
sketchy stuff. But uh for those of you who are listening to this, what I'll probably do is I'm probably going to throw an image right above us. Um, for those who are viewing the video portion of this, they will see this image. But what I imagine this house being, kind of build this landscape for the people listening in their car, on their phone, whatever it is. But we're talking about a shanty looking house, like a house that looks like it's decrepit. It's probably over 200 years old. It's on a hill by itself, and all the trees around it probably bare. There's probably rain in the distance and all that stuff. It's one of those houses that's up there. It's like surrounded by this giant iron gate fence type of thing. Um, like, I don't know if anyone's seen like Annabelle or The Conjuring or something like that. That's the kind of house we're talking about, like wood piece
Oh,
falling off, holes in the wall kind of situation, and dark
even
windows.
better, man.
Yeah.
Even better. As soon as you said it, I'm thinking of Haunted Hill House, Haunting of Hill House.
Oh yeah, I mean even that, yeah.
Just search that image,
But that, I mean, hey, yeah, that house was okay though. It wasn't like super scary looking, but like,
Yeah, but it was huge.
yeah, it was huge though. I think that's the big thing. If we're talking about a big house, like a mansion like
Yeah,
that, I'd be
yeah.
terrified. I mean, there's so many nooks and crannies that you could hide in.
Right,
Uh,
right.
Whatever. But if we're talking about like just this raggedy old, like beat down, creepy looking house, that you go inside and it's just covered in like dark dust and broken furniture and all the all the things that you can possibly think of. Maybe there's even black mold in there. That's probably the scariest thing in there. Um, but I don't know, man. If it was a smaller house, I'd probably just find a corner. I would say it would be nice to have a friend there, and kind of just to pass the time. You know what I mean? Just like talk and do the best that we can to ignore all of the scary sounds and shit going on in the house or whatever is coming out. Bats, girls crying, dolls going off.
It's laughing.
Any scary thing you can possibly think of, just ignore it. I'd probably say maybe, yeah, a person, maybe a set of earplugs or something, and like maybe just a big blanket. You know what I mean? Just like one of those like big ass blankets. I think that's actually a company. It's called Big Ass Blanket. Um, and these blankets are like 10 feet by like 10 feet or something. It's almost like a tarp, but in a blanket. But anyways, I digress. I would say like if I were to do that, I know you mentioned a lot of things, having the lights on. I feel like it'd be better not to have lights because at that point, lights start flickering and then scary stuff happens when lights flicker. I'd rather almost have it completely dark in there if I'm spending the night in there. Use the daylight that I have, and then once it goes dark, it's dark. I'm throwing that blanket over my head, putting in some earplugs, and just going to sleep. And if I got someone with me, you better believe we're spooning.
Right.
Whoever that
Yeah.
is, don't matter. Like if it's us two, we're spooning, putting some earplugs in, and just closing our eyes and just ignoring everything as it happens. It's gonna feel like an hour and it'd be like 2 minutes later or something.
Yeah. No, that's serious business. Yeah. I mean, um, you know, the for any topic in the world, right? It doesn't have to be for this scenario, but there's some people would argue that you know, um, there's a price for anything. If you had to go in alone, um, is there a price? Is there an amount of money uh, that would that you would take for you to go alone and spend the night in one of the notoriously haunted places ever?
I don't know. Honestly, that's hard to. I mean, I wouldn't do it for free if that's what you're.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no way in hell I'm going into this place for free. Uh, yeah, that's a hard one to think about. I mean, any money that they offer probably be in the 9 to 10 figure range would be fine with me. Six figures, maybe not. 8 figures, I would
Yeah,
consider it. Nine,
yeah.
sure. But yeah, it's one of those things. I don't know. If someone offers me $100,000, I'm probably going to be like,
Right,
depends on
right,
how bad I need this $100,000. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
I'm like, I need enough money to at least buy a house. Okay. It's,
right, right,
and in today's economy, I'm going to need like at least 600,000. So, the way the market is right now, hopefully,
right,
it dies down a little bit, but 600,000. So that's why I'm like, a million. No questions asked, no, it's not text, anything like
right.
that. Anything over 650, and then anything higher than that, obviously, probably be like, yeah, I mean, I'd do it. I might, consider it though. It'd be one of those things. I don't know. Um, I think I'd have more fear of like, I think I could get through the night, but it's the repercussions of like what happens after that night. You know what I mean?
Right. Does it
What the
follow
heck?
you or yeah.
If you believe in spirits or anything like that, or ghosts or whatever, um, I think it comes down to what attached itself to me, kind of thing.
Hmm.
Once I leave that place, so if I was to do it by myself, yeah, if there's money involved, sure. Um, Obviously, to the point that I mentioned earlier, the at least the amount, but I would want like all the things. I want like a ritual put into place where I'm protected before I go in there, and then I need a cleansing of me and my soul before I leave to hopefully get rid of anything that's trying to follow or attach itself to me as I'm leaving this
Yeah.
place, because I'm not trying to bring the bad juju to that new house that I'm probably going to
Right.
buy with the money they're giving me. But
Right.
I don't need all that nonsense following me
Yeah.
around and putting me in weird spots or causing reoccurring nightmares or something.
Right, right. Yeah, man, I watch a lot of scary movies and and you do too. And so we fantasize about this stuff, about how we would deal with certain situations. For me, man, yeah, I don't know if there's probably is a price. If I was given it, for me, I would say at least half a mil, 500K. I think I would do it. Um, Now 500K not to split, so that means that part of my thing to feel comfortable. Definitely, I'm bringing some friends, but I am gonna screen those particular friends. Minimum, I'm bringing 3 friends. So you're in an even group. Because I heard folklore, Asian folklore. They say never be in groups of odd numbers because there's always that one person who's going to get taken out. And so um, take it as you will. But at least 3 friends plus me, so that's 4, an even number, at minimum 3 friends. But I'm gonna psychologically screen them too. Meaning that if someone's having a bad year or feeling down or something, they're cut because I'm not gonna have a ghost take advantage of their negative energy and then yeah. See, we watch scary movies. I think of this stuff. Um, and so like but definitely group of friends. I would want to do it with all the lights on. Contrary to, I agree with you, when things start flickering, but at least you're prepared. You're like, oh shit, lights are flickering, something's gonna happen. Let's mobilize. Avengers assemble. Let's get ready, like to fight or whatever, like arm ourselves with holy water or Buddhist beads. I would rather know to be prepared rather than be in pitch black. And if we just happen to, I don't know, explore, like, we're like, what, let's go walk around. I don't want to be in pitch black and, have one of us get yanked, um, um, yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, I would just, I think the main thing is group of friends and probably a price, you know, um, 500K each, minimum each. So pre-tax, or sorry, after tax. Um, and Yeah, but I think that would be part of the fun of it. And what else? Like,
Man, if they're offering money, they better not tax that.
right, right. Um, you know, Probably remove. We're only able to the food that we pack are like pre-packed meals or snacks.
Yeah.
I would get rid of all the utensils in the house because I don't want a friend of mine to get possessed and chase us with a knife. So no weapons, um, except for the non-lethal kind. Like maybe um, shoot, I don't know, a baseball bat maybe. I know you could still kill with a baseball bat, but at least like you could defend yourself with a couple hits before you get knocked out. Stuff like that. Nothing like immediate lethal, like a gun or a knife.
I mean,
Something that I could, yeah.
I imagine most of those places would have all that stuff in there. You know what I mean?
Right, right. And so remove it. So remove any of that. No metal blunt objects. So wood. So at least like if one of my friends possess and they're going on a killing spree, we could risk them swinging at us and it's splintering, right? But then again, the splinters can be sharp. All right, but
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, if someone gets
Yeah.
possessed, man, they're probably going for that rail or banister in the house that's probably old and just rip a piece of wood off the stairs and then use that as a weapon. Or,
Right.
man, there's
Well,
so many things that could probably grab in these places.
right, right. And then, like we'll have a plan, obviously. Like, for example, we're thinking of like, all right, there's a safe room, two safe rooms. One is where we're sleeping in. The other is if anything was to happen, this is the room that we're all barricading in. Um, and that one friend who's possessed, no matter what he says, after he or she is possessing, like, hey, I'm good now, open up. Nope, we're not opening up until, the gatekeeper comes back. Um, so, we'll have like all these plans in place. But yeah, group of friends and paid, I think minimum is what I would have, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going into all that too, like I would want an infrared thermometer. I would want a
Oh,
voice
yeah.
recorder, an EMF recorder, camcorders, webcams that can see all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, all those things, all the ghost hunting equipment,
Right.
or the spirit box, just in case we're sitting there and all of a sudden something random from the other side or whatever says like, get out. And I'm like, I can't, I'm locked in.
Right. Flashlights, and I want a backup generator there. Like, I don't know, a torch. Just, but yeah, so that's about it. You got any final thoughts on that question?
I think that about covers it. I think we
Yeah.
between the two of us probably named most of the things you would want to take into this place.
Right.
Um,
So
yeah.
with that, so kind of to wrap it up on kind of like our last question of the night, another, as we always do here at Our Stories, Your Legacy, we have like a fun, simple question that we could kind of shoot the shit about. But then we always like to wrap it up a little bit with a little bit of thought provokingness, So I'm gonna start with you, Todd. As we know, some people are fascinated with the unknown paranormal. We definitely are. Um, but at least for me and maybe for you as well. I mean, there's we talk about it, we think about it, we watch scary movies, we obsess with it in that sense, but we're not obsessed with it in a sense where we didn't take action over it, right, to confront the paranormal. But there are people who would, we see shows, ghost hunters, people doing all that. But what are some reasons that you personally that you would or you wouldn't want to mess with the supernatural? What are some reasons you would or wouldn't want to mess with the supernatural?
I don't know, man. I think it just depends. Obviously we believe in the supernatural. We've talked about this in previous episodes. I think we even talked about it in our review or whatever that was of Bly Manor, just having that quick discussion of all the things that happened in that show. Be interesting to have Nico come back on and talk about this stuff too. But
Right.
uh, I think it just depends on the place, really. Obviously, like if you look at movies and all that stuff, sometimes it's just a spirit that's trapped. Um, Good intentions, but it's just haunting people and it's evil in that sense. So you're like, oh, I'm going to help this spirit out. But then they turn around and backstab you anyways, because, it is what it is. But I think for that, there is, if you've seen a lot of these things, there is usually some sort of good spirit that's also trapped in the place with a bad spirit. So just trying to, I think interacting with them would help paint a picture or tell a story of what may have happened or might have happened there, to better understand why that thing or whatever spirit is still there, still haunting. But the reason why I wouldn't want to do it is because, I mean, there's probably some psychotic reason that the thing is there in the first place. That could be a mass murderer or serial killer or just psychopathic person who finds pleasure in killing, which I think is encompassed in murder or serial killer, because usually that's how they get to that point anyways. Or some freak accident from like some sort of lab of some sort. I don't know, just stuff like that. Like people that just have like usually have a good intention, but they have like that evil doctor type of mind, and they're going to whatever lengths to make sure that their project succeeds and see some inhumane things and whatnot. So, some of those tormented souls, because I mean, some people, test on psychiatric type of people anyways, or people that have been on death row, maybe they put them on there and test them there. So like I said, there's so many factors why I wouldn't do it, because I don't want to mess with whatever is there, because again, you risk the chance that you walk out of that place with something attached, or a potential slight possession of some sort, obviously, as it tries to attach to you, which is the scary part. I think depending on, like I said, I think it depends on the place, the situation. If you go to a place that's kind of haunted, that might be it gives you the chills being there, but it's not like a old type of haunting. It's more of like oh, hey, I'm going to knock this thing off the shelf so that you notice me, or like, hey, this door is going to open randomly by itself, but nothing's going to happen other than that. Then I think, making communication or seeing what that's all about, I think that's kind of a fascinating thing to think about. But I think the other side of that, the dark side, I would rather not mess with, because I don't want to deal with everything that might follow.
Right. Yeah, no, those are all good reasons. Yeah. I mean, for me, like the reason why this question comes up too, it's like, how far would you go while you're there in this haunted house? Things that I wouldn't mess with. I mean, being in the property is one thing, and then being respectful of whether you believe it or not, or believe in God or not, or any other spirit. This is all kind of the same thing. You want to be respectful to these other beings, right? To the spirits or whatever, however you define ghosts or however you define paranormal, supernatural, but you still want to be respectful, because you don't know about it, of like if it's going to attach to you, if it's going to mess with you, you never know. So even though I was in this haunted house, I wouldn't necessarily do things to provoke it, right? Now, I would like to believe that if I was being provoked by it or being threatened by it, then I would, yell at it or say some prayers to like fight it off or whatever, I got to fight back, right? But I wouldn't do things to go out of my way. I would never do a seance, mess with an Ouija board. Those are things I would never be a part of. No amount of money. You could give me half of Jeff Bezos combined with Warren Buffett and Elon Musk and Bill Gates combined, and then give me half of their net worth after tax. And okay, that's kind of extreme. It made me rethink that. But regardless, but for like like typical prize money stuff, right? Like you would see on TV shows, like 1 million, 100K to 1 million, right? Those are typical prize money stuff. I don't even think a million's enough to mess with that. I wouldn't. Half of a net worth of those guys combined, maybe, but because with that money, I would probably seek out like some really good, blessers to get rid of these spirits, maybe to reverse it. You never know what money can buy. But for typical 100K to a million, no, yeah. I'm fascinated with these things. I mean,
say, you can't pay me enough to mess with a Ouija board in the daylight. I ain't.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, not even in the daylight. Yeah. Not even in the company of like, all religion, all the religious, like, head of all the religious houses, whatever, like the Pope, Buddha himself, sorry for my ignorance of all the religions, but all the head
Priests,
of, yeah, your
all the
priests and
things.
stuff, not even in the presence of them, supervising what I mess with in a Ouija board.
Right.
But yeah. I mean, we talked about it before, especially in the Asian culture. We kind of grow, for most of us, we kind of grow up with ghost stories, and it was part of our lives. Believing in the spirits and whatnot. But at the same time, I don't know if learning this stuff and thinking about it, it kind of just teaches me personally to just be respectful of it. Don't provoke it. It's kind of like this old saying, don't mess with it if it don't mess with you. Right. So those are some reasons that I wouldn't mess with the supernatural. I enjoy it. I enjoy supernatural scary movies, you know, but would I go out of my way to provoke it? No. Yeah. Nice, man. Any final thoughts? Even with this question, or even the first topic?
Yeah, I had something and I kind of spaced and it went away. But yeah, I don't think I have a anything to really to close out on it with. I think obviously, spirits are spirits and some are nice, some are bad. But as far as messing with them and all that stuff, like you said, seance or even Ouija board, you wouldn't be able to pay me enough to do that in the day in front of all the holy things to really even go on that. That's a different beast. You're literally knocking and inviting them into our world at that point, and I'm just like, I don't think we need to go that far.
Right.
But yeah, I think watching all of these shows and believing and growing up Asian and believing all these things and hearing all the things culturally and all of that stuff. Obviously, I think we have a little bit more openness to staying into these places or really kind of diving into these things, just because I think there is a point of it that is interesting. That's why we watch. That's why we are captivated by it, because we could see ourselves in a similar situation or something like that, or even going through whatever it is to see what's out there and all that. Just the curiosity, I think, um, or just to prove that spirits do exist, kind of thing. I mean, obviously we believe that, but it's just another take on it. And I know some people that would not even dare go into any of these places and do any of these things because they're afraid of everything. You know what I mean? So
Right.
yeah. So I don't know. I guess it just depends on how you're wording this whole thing. If it's evil, if it's haunted, if it's a nice spirit, maybe Casper the friendly ghost is who you run into, which, hey, cool, you know, or talking about like Beetlejuice or something, uh, nice ghosts, you know what I mean? Ghostbusters, I guess. Although there's not many nice ghosts in Ghostbusters, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Stuff like that. There's so many things that aren't like horror creepy that are out there. There's other ghost spirit type of things that are out there that you can think of. Like I said, Casper. That's who you think. I'm like, oh, that's a friendly ghost. They wouldn't
Right.
do anything to me. Maybe his brothers who like to play pranks or whatever, but not Casper. So I think, if you explain it that way, maybe you can get some people to agree to do something with ghosts. But I would say most of the time, most people would not be so inclined to just get thrown into a haunted house by themselves or even with a couple people. Um, just because, yeah, who knows? Who knows what that is like, how that goes. But hey, it's just part of the story, right?
Hmm. Nice, man. Appreciate it. Well, we're gonna wrap it up here. As always, we like to wrap it up saying that, take this question. I think it applies to you. Put yourself in your friends, or maybe your family, or whoever close to you, or maybe by yourself. and challenge yourself. Well, what would it take for you to go into a haunted, locked up in a haunted house for the night? Scarier the better. Maybe it's one of the most notoriously haunted, demonic places you can ever imagine, all thrown in one. What would it take for you to do it? Money, friends, um, you know, Chick-fil-A for life, except even on Sundays, so it's like, have that fun discussion with your friends. As always, we like to sign off saying, we're all not perfect, but we all continue to grow and learn when we continue to have these dialogues and have these open discussions. So have fun with it. As always, we'll see y'all next week and continue at it and keep on bringing some fun discussions to talk about, fun topics to talk about. So have a good night. And while you're listening to this, have a great, safe Halloween. And we'll see y'all next week.
Yeah, stay safe out there. Eat candy or fruit, whatever it is. But yeah, trick or treat.